Hey everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got a lot to cover today, but like always, as first, we got to shout out the patrons. So DGamer, thank you very much for your support over on Patreon. And as always, analytics are very important, so please drop a like and a comment to help fuel the algorithm. And if this is your first time here, please don't forget to turn on subscribes and notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload. And if you want to support us even further, please consider becoming a channel member or a patron. You get exclusive access to things that I don't put on the channel and early access to everything that I do. But anyways, with all that being said, let's get into what if Ash won the Hoenn League, the finale part 4. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's part the morning after Ash's victory against Phoebe. The place that we are in is the stadium, as the elites, Steven and Goodshow, are all meeting about the next match that is supposed to be happening, the one involving Ash and Glacia. However, there's one problem. The ice specialist seems to be missing in action. This has not gone unnoticed, as Steven has been very vocal about her disrespect in her actions with leaving the battle halfway through. Glacia has ignored every attempt we have made to summon her, Steven says in frustration. This type of behavior will not be allowed. Have any one of you seen her? However, the only one to speak up is Goodshow. Steven, Glacia will appear when the time is right, so why not just take it easy for now, and we will speak with her when she makes her presence known. This comment agitates Steven even more. That type of attitude is the reason why she thinks this is okay. Goodshow questions Steven on the meaning of this outburst, to which the champion holds nothing back. You've just let all of the trainers of the Hoenn Pokemon League Association do as they please. It's because of this that we have the mess in LaRousse. The negligence of you as the head is clear in the way the trainers you hold closest to you respond to their responsibilities. This causes the old man to bow his head for a moment.
Now listen here, Rock Boy, that's over the line. Goodshow had nothing to do with Team Magma and Team Aqua. That was all on me. So cut the guy a break, will ya? He only wanted to bring the excitement of Pokemon battles to the people of the world. There's no harm in that.
While Sydney has a point and is trying to shoulder the blame for LaRousse, Steven isn't willing to accept his pitiful answer. That is exactly what I'm talking about. The problems that we have faced over the last year are systemic. They start with the leadership of the top. Goodshow has been too lenient, and because of it, people have suffered.
Okay, we get it! We all messed up, but that's no reason for you to take your irritations out on everyone else! I think you've made your point by now. We need to be more vigilant when it comes to things like this. What more do you want from us?
This gets Steven to calm down a little bit. I thought you would never ask. It's simple, really. Pointing at Goodshow, Steven tells the old man that he would like him to hand over the operation of the Pokemon League in Hoenn to the DIDNT Corporation. Silence befalls the room at this request. Steven states that he will assume control as president and champion. He has given this a lot of thought, and he has come to only one conclusion. He can change the elites as much as he wants, but as long as Goodshow is in charge, the same attitude on how things are run will continue to foster negligence and incompetence for all who share the banner of the Hoenn League. The old man remains quiet, looking down at the ground.
Goodshow, you can't seriously be considering this. Steven has no right to make such a demand.
Sydney's right! We're not Hoenn's police force! There's no responsibility for us to step in if something like Team Aqua or Magma happen. It's just best if we do.
But Steven finishes this sentence, stating that Phoebe should think before she speaks. You have the ability, so it is your responsibility. No questions asked. That is why, under my leadership, it will be mandatory that we maintain peace through strength. This will be non-negotiable. Now, old man, will you honor my request, or am I going to have to proceed with another method? This statement finally gets Drake to speak up.
Just what is this other method? If you are threatening force, then I can assure you that no one will go for this, and you will have a battle on your hands that makes what happened in LaRousse look like a walk in the park.
Steven chuckles. Oh, it's nothing like that, Drake. We live in the time of technology, which in Hoenn is all developed by the DIDNT Corporation, powered by it, controlled by it. Just think how difficult life would become if suddenly everyone that was reliant on our tech suddenly started having problems with it. This causes the room to go silent, as for the first time, Drake has a serious look on his face. The Dragon Master prepares to say something, but Goodshow cuts him off. Fine, I will agree to your terms, Steven. I'm glad you see things my way, old man. I will start the paperwork for the transfer, but I have one condition. The old man states, cutting off a now irritated champion. Just what is this condition? It better not be ridiculous. Oh, it's nothing like that. You said you wanted to be president and champion, so my condition is that you are able to maintain that goal. You have to be champion after the end of this champions tournament. If you are, then I will transfer the ownership of the league in Hoenn, just like you want. But if not, then the league stays under my leadership for the foreseeable future. You can't be serious. You're going to put the fate of the Pokemon League in the hands of that boy? He's barely an Elite Four level trainer, let alone champion material. Pikachu, then you should have no problem letting Glacia face the boy. Her battle is next, so you could be running the league in as little as 2 days. Realizing that he may not have a choice but to play ball, Steven relents. Fine, let the tournament finish, but I warn you, if either Glacia or Drake don't battle the boy with everything they have, then I will follow through with my threats and take control of the league by force. Oh, don't worry, Steven. That is one thing you won't have to worry about. The one thing I know that they both have is honor. There's no way that they would throw a battle just to make your life harder, the old man says, looking at Drake. We'll see about that, Steven replies, as we fade to the Pokemon Center where we find Ash and Pikachu. The boy seems to be all alone. It's like everyone woke up before him this morning and just left him behind. After getting ready, Ash decided to go look for them in the eating area, which is where we find him now. However, none of his friends are here, not even Morrison or Tyson. The boy finds this odd. However, things are only going to get weirder as when Ash looks at the eating area, he spots someone that he never thought he would ever see in a place like this. Glacia. She is sitting in the back of the room, sipping on some liquid, looking at the boy over the rim of the cup. For whatever reason that Ash can't explain, something is compelling the boy to approach her. So, with Pikachu on his shoulder, the boy walks to the back, not breaking eye contact for a second as he closes in on the ice trainer. Hey Glacia, I wasn't expecting to see you here. I thought that you would be hanging out with the other Elite Four and the champion.
Normally, yes, but things have been a bit tense of late, so some personal space is best for all of us. It seems you had the same idea. Normally, I see you with that group of friends that is always following you around like a pack of lost Poochyena pups.
Well, actually, I was looking for them. It seems like they all left me behind. I was hoping that we could all just hang out today and just have some fun.
Well, if that's the case, I think I saw them heading out after that girl that wanted me to advise her on contests. That was pretty early in the morning though, and I didn't see where they went.
Oh, well, thanks, Ash says. I guess I'll go look outside. They couldn't have gotten too far. Ash then turns to go look with Pikachu, but Glacia stops him.
Before you go, may I have a word?
Ash looks back, a little confused. Sure, I guess.
I didn't think you would make it past Phoebe, but you surprised everyone and pulled out a win from behind. So, a friendly word of advice. The battles you've had up until this point have all been friendly. I don't share the same affinity as Sydney and Phoebe. So, I advise you to deal with whatever it is that is clouding your focus before our battle. Because if you don't, then I will be your final opponent in this tournament.
Glacia then stands up to leave the eating area, but turns to say one final thing.
Oh, and Ash? I always play for keeps.
The ice specialist then takes her leave, with Ash standing there only able to gulp at the warning that she just laid at his feet. I can feel it, buddy. Glacia is the real deal. She's the only member of the Elite Four that we have no idea what her battle style is like. We don't even know her Pokemon. Ash knows that she is preparing for their battle. The boy takes full heed as he runs out of the center to find his friends. However, there is one in particular that he wants to find. It's time that he settle things with May before he has to face Glacia, but the only thing that he can do is begin his search, hoping that he will find May sooner than later. Speaking of the coordinator, we move over to the plateau that is on the edge of the city. It is here that we find May training with her 6 Pokemon. The girl has been at it all night. Once Ash won his battle, May had collected her Pokemon from Nurse Joy and spent a few hours in her room before sneaking out after midnight to start her training. And since then, she's been pushing them as hard as she possibly can. Now it's nearly noon, and they have been training for nearly 12 hours straight. But the only thing that May can think to herself is they need to be ready. Ash will lose one of his upcoming battles. Then they will get their chance. This, a final battle. The only thing that May has been able to think of since she started this training session. This has been the driving force behind the girl the whole time. However, she isn't the only one that has this motivation, as we can see that her Pokemon are well aware of what their goal is, not just her goal. This is made painfully obvious as she tells them that Ash is leveling up with each of the Elite Four member battles that he has. They can't let that gap widen anymore. However, just as May makes this comment, this is where we see Ash's other friends arriving to May's training session, and there wasn't one of them them that hadn't heard what the girl was saying. This causes May and her Pokemon to stop as the coordinator wonders just how much they did hear. Brock tells May that they've been looking everywhere for her. They are really worried and they think that she should return to the Pokemon Center. However, May says that they are fine, so they should just leave. She doesn't need their help to train. Besides, Ash will wonder where they are. Tyson and Morrison state that's why they all came. They think that they should take a break and actually just talk with Ash. He's beaten 2 of the elites, but he has been distracted in each of those battles. Ash is worried about you, but the girl remains convinced that it's not necessary. Ash is a great trainer, so he should be able to win no problem. After all, he managed to beat both of you. This remark causes Max to finally step forward, revealing the reason that he came out here. May, Nurse Joy asked us to find you. She said that you stole your Pokemon from the center while they were under her care. This finally captures May's attention. So what if I did? They're my Pokemon. I can take them if I want. But Max hasn't finished, stating that Nurse Joy called Officer Jenny. Joy was waiting for her to get there when we overheard the conversation. After Max pleaded with the nurse, Joy relented and said that if they can get back before noon, then she would tell Jenny that it was a mistake. Looking at her watch, May sees that it's almost time, so there is no point in going. Jenny will be called and then she will just explain the situation. But this is where Misty states that it's not all it's going to be. Joy reported you for abuse of your Pokemon. If Jenny gets involved, then she will take them. You may never see them again. This statement is enough to finally get the girl to consider the outcome of her decisions for the moment. With a deep breath, she recalls her Pokemon. Fine, we'll play it your way for now. The group then descends back down to the Pokemon Center, though this trip is going to be a tense one. This is where we move back to the center, finding Ash entering to see Officer Jenny talking with Nurse Joy. While this isn't unfamiliar, Ash can tell that something is wrong. Thinking it may be something to do with his friends, the boy rushes over and hopes that he can finally get some information. However, much to his disappointment, Ash only finds out that it's about some Pokemon that had gone missing. The boy thanks them for the info and says that he will be on the lookout for anyone that looks suspicious. Ash then turns. However, at the door of the center is all of his friends, including May. Ash is relieved by this sight and immediately greets them, asking if everything is okay. Brock explains that it's been a long morning. Ash was still asleep when they left, and they wanted to make sure that he got his rest. The boy sees May and asks if she is okay. However, he is stopped cold when Officer Jenny addresses May directly, asking if the girl will join her. She has some questions due to a report of missing Pokemon. Sure, May says before walking off with Officer Jenny. Wait, what's going on? Ash questions. There has to be some mistake, but Misty stops him. Let May go. This leaves the boy more worried than he has ever been. Turning, Ash demands for them to tell him what is going on. May has been acting weird, and now Officer Jenny is taking her to have a talk. This is where Brock says that they should go sit down. They will explain everything over there. They all then head to the eating area, where each of them gets some food, and the group fills Ash in on what they know about what is going on to this point. However, when it gets to the point when Max is going to mention that May wants to battle Ash, this is when May enters the eating area, capturing the attention of everyone. She looks at the group but says nothing, only heading over to a table of her own to brood in the corner. Everyone is silent as they don't really know how to approach the situation. However, Ash isn't going to let this sit anymore. May has gotten in real trouble, and she has been avoiding everyone, especially him. Glacia said that he needed to clear his mind in order to have a chance to win their battle, so that's what he's going to do. Standing up from the table, Ash yells, "Hey May, what's your problem?" Attention shifts to our hero as he storms over to the table that May is currently sitting at. Ash demands to know why May is acting like no one else matters. She has been blowing them all off since they got to Evergrande. This angered-filled rant from Ash catches the girl off guard for a moment, as she hasn't seen Ash like this in a few months. However, she is quick to gather herself, stating that it's nothing that Ash has to worry about. She will let him know when she is ready to talk to him. Ash wants to understand her, but pushes even further. May, this is serious. You were taken away by Officer Jenny. That's really bad. Why would they want to talk to you about stolen Pokemon? Please don't tell me you did something like that. What? No, there was a misunderstanding. I checked out my Pokemon and Nurse Joy forgot that I picked him up, so she reported it to Officer Jenny. That's it. May then stands up and looks at Ash with a strange smile. I don't want you to worry about me, Ash. You and I will always be friends, but we are on 2 different paths right now. You need to focus on your battles with the Elite Four. Let me worry about what I have going on. When it's time, I will tell you. May then storms off, saying only one final thing. I promise that what I'm doing will be worth it in the end. Please just let me do it. The girl then walks off, leaving Ash questioning this, but Misty puts her hand on the boy's shoulder. I think it's best to let this one go for now, but May is acting weird, and I just want to make sure that everything is alright. Misty tells Ash that what May is going through is something that only a girl will understand, so let me talk with her. I'm sure that I can get her to come around. I hope so, Ash says, before the two rejoin the others at the table. As Misty sits down, Max questions questions why they didn't tell him about the battle. Misty states that Ash has enough on his plate for the next battle, so it's best to let him focus on that. So let him deal with that and focus on your sister later. It will be what's best for everyone. The more Ash pushes, the further away he will push your sister. That's something that we want to avoid. So over the next 2 days, our job is to keep Ash focused, so that he will be ready. I hear that Glacia is next, and she's no pushover. Max says nothing to this, torn between his loyalty to Ash and May. With the tension now at an all-time high, we move over to the next day. With only 1 day to go until his next battle, Ash had decided to take it off, choosing to rest while trying to clear his mind of what happened with May. Misty, Brock, Tyson, and Morrison all do their best to keep him upbeat. During this time, May is forced to do the same. However, this is more of an order at the hands of Officer Jenny. You see, their conversation was one of Joy stating that she must have misreported the return of May's Pokemon, so Jenny didn't need to take any further action. However, this did not let May off the hook. Joy had stated that she was concerned with May's treatment of her Pokemon, so in order to compromise, May was forced to take the next 2 days off so her Pokemon could rest. While this is a good thing, May is getting a little bit of cabin fever, so she decides to go out and focus on other things while she has nothing else to really do. However, there isn't a whole lot that May can do, as most of the shops are closed on the days that there isn't a battle, but she still finds a way to help pass the time, albeit only a little faster than what she would like. However, this does lead her into an interaction that she wasn't expecting, as at one of the tables that are around the stadium, May encounters Glacia. The girl locks eyes for a moment before walking past her to continue her business. However, May stops when Glacia addresses the girl.
You're one of the friends of that boy Ash. If I recall, your name is May, isn't it?
Yeah, she says, but what does it matter to you? She snaps. The last I recall, you didn't care for anything that I had to say.
I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have blown you off like that. It was most unladylike. From what I hear, you have been a topic of many discussions as of late with the local law enforcement.
So what if I am? That only concerns me and the people that are involved. Certainly not you.
Actually, it concerns me a great deal. I suspect my next opponent, your friend, won't be at his best. Everything in my gut is telling me the reason for this is because of you.
This causes May to tense up a bit.
There's no need for that. Why don't you sit down and we can have a discussion about this and the ramifications on why it's a bad decision.
May heeds the words of the elite, sitting down at the table to hear what Glacia has to say. The next morning, Ash and the rest of them are up bright and early. However, the boy is surprised as when he enters the lobby, he sees all of his friends including May. Ash questions if everything is okay. The girl simply says that she needs to let her Pokemon rest another day, so she is going to be watching the battle. This immediately perks the boy up. Really? Are you sure? Yes, she says with frustration in her voice at Ash's assurance that she is making the wrong choice. This seemingly kicks Ash into another gear as he thanks her for coming. He then says he will see them all at the stadium. He needs to get there so that way he can be ready for the battle. The boy then takes off with Pikachu, excited that all of his friends are going to be able to be in attendance. Unsure at this change, Brock tells May that they should get going. The crowd will be enormous, so if they want to get some good seats, they will need to leave now. However, this is where Misty is going to say that she will catch up. She left her Pokemon with Nurse Joy, so she's going to get them and will meet them all at the stadium. Morrison and Tyson look at the line, stating that it's super long. Is Misty sure she wants to do that? The redhead nods. She will be right behind them. With a shrug, Max says that they will try to save her a seat before they take off as Misty joins the line. However, little did they know, she already has all of her Pokemon with her, so what exactly does she need from Nurse Joy? As the group makes their way to the stadium, we follow up with the subject of today's battle, Glacia. She is in the champions box above the stadium. The elite has been here for over an hour, awaiting for the others to arrive. Luckily, with only 60 minutes to start the battle, Sydney, Phoebe, and Goodshow are quick to join her. However, this reunion is one of concern and confusion. You see, none of them have seen Glacia since the battle with Phoebe. It's like she has been purposely avoiding everyone, which is immediately met with concern.
Oi, Glace, you okay? The way you left the other day had me a bit worried, but I'm glad that you're safe and sound.
Yeah, when you didn't show up after the battle, I thought something bad happened. But I'm glad you're okay.
Goodshow even says that it's very uncharacteristic for Glacia just to leave in the middle of a battle like that, so he asks if this battle is something that she will be able to follow through with.
While I appreciate all of your concerns over my absence in the battle today, I assure you everything is fine. It seemed Phoebe had the boy beat, so I decided I was no longer needed. but it appears not even you could get the job done. So I will pick up the slack that you two have left and bring this season to an end. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must head down to the battle arena to prepare.
Glacia then takes her leave, heading out the door, leaving the others only with her words as comfort to her sudden change in demeanor. However, as Glacia exits the room, Steven is leaning on the wall just outside. The two lock eyes, but Glacia is quick to turn and head the opposite way. But Steven isn't going to let her walk away without addressing the behavior that she has displayed. This will be your last battle as a member of the Elite Four, the Champion States. This causes Glacia to stop. Turning, she looks at Steven with the icy stare that she is known for.
That isn't your decision to make. Only the vote of Good Show can make that call. I am so sorry to disappoint your ego trip, but that won't be happening at your whims.
Steven says that Glacia should have stayed around the other day. There is information that she is missing. Good Show has agreed to turn over the operations of the league to the DIDNT Corporation, as long as I am the champion at the end of this tournament. This causes a twitch in Glacia's eye that Steven catches. It's really ironic. You pride yourself on being one of the strongest, but if you lose, then the boy will have to battle Drake. But if you win, then you hand over power to me. We both know either way, you won't survive the rest of this. But the question is, will your reputation as a trainer? The eye specialist remains quiet as Steven says that there is no need for her to worry. He has already replaced her. It appears that Hoenn of Sootopolis City was keen on the idea of becoming a member of my Elite Four. This is when the bell goes off, signaling that there is 30 minutes until the start of the battle. You better get going, Steven says. Wouldn't want you to miss the battle to decide the future of the league. Turning, Glacia simply offers a word of advice.
You know, I've been a member of this league for over 20 years. If there is one thing that I've learned, it's that you can't force change. If you do, then it will only result in an outcome you will not be happy with. Being a leader is more than just treating everyone like a number. Disagreement is what allows growth if you let it.
Steven sneers at this notion as Glacia turns, seemingly unfazed by his comments, and walks away. The champion seems to feel that she is undermining him just because she can't, instead of because she may be trying to offer him a perspective to consider. As Steven watches Glacia disappear around the corner, we move down to the crowd, where we see all of Ash's friends here sitting. Well, all except Misty, but none of them seem to notice as they are all distracted by the fact that May is here. However, that doesn't mean Misty isn't near, as she has positioned herself close to the exit, as she suspects that there may be something more going on here than just May attending this battle. So as Misty watches her from a bird's eye view, we move over to the individual locker rooms. Both Ash and Glacia have arrived in theirs respectively. While Ash is alone as he mentally prepares, Glacia isn't.
Took you long enough. I was beginning to think I was the next challenge for the boy.
Now, Drake, how long have you known me? I have never missed a battle, and I'm offended that you think I would.
After your walkout the other day, I figured that you had finally decided your time with the League had come. I guess even with all my years knowing you, I can still be fooled by your icy demeanor.
So you caught on, did you? Well, I guess there's no point in denying it. Steven's recent tactics are not something that I align with. He is very much business-orientated. I joined the Elite Four because I enjoyed the thrill that it brought. But now it's just another corporate gimmick. It's lost the luster I fell in love with.
That's the thing we've always agreed upon. It's the dawn of a new generation. Things are growing more advanced by the day. All we can do is either grow with it, or step aside so it can take the course it's supposed to.
It's a shame you've decided to step down, Drake. Your leadership is something the League will need dearly when we are gone.
That may be true, but... well, it seems like our conversation is about to come to an end.
I guess it's my turn to put the boy through the ringer. Make sure the others are watching so I can show them how it's done.
Will do. Oh, and Glacia, one last thing. Don't hold back.
Your memory is slipping, old man. Since when have I ever held back?
Drake simply smiles as Glacia exits the room, preparing for her turn to show the boy what the Hoenn Elite Four is truly made of. This is where we move over to the main battle area as Mr. Goodshow is introducing Ash and Glacia. The crowd is going wild over the entrance of the two combatants. The truth be told is that the Elite Four challenge doesn't really get good until they get past the first two. It's an unspoken truth among not only the elites, but all of the fans that watch on a yearly basis. This is confirmed when we see Drake enter the champions box, as Sydney and Phoebe are commenting on this exact point. However, Drake says nothing, choosing to only focus on the one positive of the day, the battle down below. However, the one in the room that has the most interest is Steven. He can't wait to see how Glacia will choose to exit the Elite Four, either by folding and allowing Ash to be taken out by the champion, or by beating Ash and letting Steven take total control of the league. Either way, the show will be good, the champion thinks, as we pan back down to the battlefield to hear the rules for this 5-on-5 match and Glacia's choice of battlefield. However, the Elite isn't one to give any advantage to her opponents, choosing to go with the ice battlefield that best suits her Pokemon. As Goodshow tells the combatants to take their sides of the field, Ash stops for a moment and thanks Glacia, before telling her that his head is clear and he will give her his best. This isn't something that she was expecting, causing her for the first time to address the boy in a tone that isn't lined in disgust.
I have to admit, you have something to have made it this far in the league. Talent, luck, skill. I'm not sure which it is that you possess, but I assure you, if you are lacking any of those three departments, then you have no chance at beating me. You say that I will get your best, so I will honor this notion with none other than my best. Now, let's start and leave nothing to chance.
Ash can do nothing but smile as he walks to his side of the battlefield and looks up to see all of his friends in the stands, though he notices that Misty is sitting a bit farther away than the others. But Ash chalks this up to not being able to get a seat near his friends due to their being so far behind. But no matter, she's here and that's all that counts. With a turn, Ash says, "Let's get this started," to which Glacia has no problem in doing, commanding her first Pokemon, Delibird, into battle, while Ash makes the call for the Pokemon that gave him the victory over Phoebe and Grumpig. "I choose you." Both Pokemon hit the field at the same time, with Ash wondering what Glacia's game is. However, he doesn't want to waste time, so he decides to go big with a Psionic Barrage in hopes of taking an early lead. However, Glacia responds with the calmness of a freshly fallen snow.
Delibird, use Hail!
The festive pheasant begins to move its arms, summoning clouds above the stadium. Then, as the stars begin to close in, they are all set off as ice begins to fall from the sky. A chain of explosions rings across the battlefield, shaking everything in sight. While neither side took any damage in this initial battle, Ash is going to find out that Glacia shares a similar battle style to Phoebe, as Hail strikes Grumpig for damage while Delibird remains unfazed. This leaves the ice type ready for round 2, as it uses an aura beam that is amped by the cold weather. Knowing they still have a chance to take control, Ash calls for a psychic. The swine's eyes glow as it takes control of the ice shower and strikes Delibird with its own attack.
Interesting. He's trying to use the hail against us. Well, that is clever. It's not the first time we've seen that. Delibird, focus punch.
Suddenly, Ash is forced to watch as the ice is smashed to bits, only for the ice type to strike Grumpig across the jaw, sending it into a spiraling dance. But Ash can see that this is his chance to do something big, calling for a Swift that is slingshotted from Grumpig in a swirl that hits Delibird. Feeling like Ash is getting too confident, Glacia decides that it's time to really turn on the cold, ordering an Aerial Ace. Ash tries to counter with a Confuse Ray, but Delibird vanishes into the fog of the storm that has taken over the battlefield. All the while, the damage on Grumpig is stacking up. He orders a Swine to hit the ice type with a Swift, but this only results in Delibird appearing with a gut check before it can make the move, only to vanish back into the fog. Seeing the offense won't work, Ash tries defense, commanding for a Psionic Barrage to be erected as a shield around Grumpig. Doing so, both the Swine and our hero begin to feel confident that they are protected. This is when Glacia moves in for the kill, as Delibird appears just as the hail falls one more time, setting off another chain of explosions. However, this time there will be nowhere to run, as an Aura Beam is used to create a dome of ice around Grumpig, forcing all of the explosions inward, enveloping the Swine in its own attack. As the ice walls shatter, the hail fades and the smoke settles, revealing that Grumpig is down, while Delibird is still standing, giving Glacia the first win. Recalling his second type, Ash begins to see why Glacia is ranked 3rd in the elites. She read his every move like a book and had all of the answers.
Ash, you promised your best. I have to say, if this is your best, I am less than impressed. You showed skill, but no talent. That battle was something I would expect to see if Sydney was the one you were battling. So please, step it up or step out.
Gulping, Ash realizes that Glacia wasn't kidding about bringing her best. She is definitely not pulling any punches. The question is, how can Ash turn this around? However, our hero thinks that he may have a way, pulling the next choice from his belt with a smile.
What is going on in that head of yours, I wonder?
But the ice specialist won't have to wait, as the call is given for Mawile as the second choice for this battle. While intrigued, Glacia still remains confident, though she is at a type disadvantage. Ash can see the ice running through her veins, so he figures that it's time to heat it up with a lava whip. However, this is met with an aura beam that just turns the attack into lava rock that crumbles before they can cause any damage.
None of your flashy moves will work here, Ash. In this weather, my will is absolute. You will need the strength of nature to overcome it.
That's when it hits him. Mawile is taking damage from the hail, but he can flip it. So he does, calling for a sandstorm that blankets the battlefield and hides Mawile. This turns the chip damage on Delibird, giving Ash the opening that he needed with the hidden power. However, Glacia is unfazed, calling for an aerial ace to strike before Mawile can, though this does cause the same damage to itself when the hidden power flares up and engulfs it. Though it isn't enough to take out the ice type and leaves an opening for Glacia to land a point-blank focus punch to Mawile that hits so hard that the steel type is sent airbound and out of the sandstorm. Knowing he can't lose his mod, Ash recalls it in exchange for another one that can handle the weather he set in Flygon. As the dragon emerges, Ash immediately calls for a dig that allows it to dodge an Aurora Beam. To Ash, this puts him in a prime position as he calls for a Dragon's Breath from under the ground. As the battlefield cracks, Glacia smiles, ordering an Aurora Beam into the folds that push back the aura and force Flygon to the surface. In doing so, the elite takes advantage of the opening, calling for an aerial ace that strikes the dragonfly. Though this isn't enough to bring victory, as now the two are staring at each other face to face. Both trainers call for a Dragon's Breath and an Aura Beam respectively, which unfortunately for Ash isn't enough to overpower the ice type, allowing Flygon to be hit for a massive amount of damage. However, things are finally going to shift for our hero, as the sandstorm has finally run its course, and with it, the last bit of damage that is dealt. Delibird finally falls, giving Ash his first win over Glacia. However, it doesn't really feel like a win to the boy, as Glacia remains calm, recalling her first Pokemon of the battle that took not one or two, but three of Ash's own to take down.
I'm sorry to say, Ash, that victory was less than impressive. So much effort to take out the weakest of my team. If that's the best you can do, then you might as well quit now, because there is no way you will beat me.
This declaration from Glacia has the boy second-guessing himself a bit. Flygon took a lot of damage in that battle and isn't sure on how to proceed. Ultimately, he decides that he should try to conserve his team the best he can, so he recalls Flygon in exchange for Mawile, figuring it would be the best thing that he can send in to counter whatever ice type may be up next, since Ash still knows nothing about Glacia's Pokemon or what they can do. However, the choice that Glacia decides on is an odd one, as her second mon to hit the field is a Castform. Ash has to do a double take with his Pokédex, as he is sure that it isn't an ice type. Once confirming this, Ash is even more uneasy, as if Glacia has one of those on her team, then there's no telling what her plans are. However, Ash remains on his current course, starting with the Lava Whip, but this is met with a Water Pulse that nullifies it. Wanting to test the waters a little bit more, Ash decides to order a Crunch, while Mawile happily executes, using its dancing skills to position itself close to Castform and dodge a barrage of Water Pulses that come its way. Then, with a handstand, the Steel type is primed to swallow Castform whole, as its jaws clamp down. However, this is when Ash is going to learn that Glacia let him get this close, as when the jaws lock down, flames start to emerge from within as the call for a flamethrower is given. No, Mawile, spit it out, Ash yells. The princess does so, but the damage is done. Mawile is close to the end, and Ash can see it. Wanting to get as much mileage out of the steel type as possible, Ash calls for another sandstorm to block it from another flamethrower. Ash feels pretty good about this, calling for a double team to hide Mawile even further. However, this is when the boy is going to learn why Castform is part of Glacia's team, as a hail begins to fall at the command of the elite. This doesn't really shake Ash, as he was coming to expect it. However, what happens next does, as Castform begins to change, taking on a more frigid form. The boy doesn't like the looks of this, and every instinct is telling him that he needs to do something, so he decides to call for another sandstorm to stop the hail. However, Glacia was no fool and planned for this, so with the simple command of a weather ball, a chunk of ice is sent in the direction of Mawile as the sandstorm takes over the field once again. Though Ash managed to set the weather, it came at the cost of his second Pokemon, as Mawile drops from the attack. Recalling the steel type, Ash is at a loss for words, while Glacia recalls Castform to save it from any damage from the weather. As our hero contemplates his next move while his friends are watching, we move up to the champions box, where we see the elites, Goodshow and Steven. The mood is a mix of excitement and uncertainty.
Psst. Hey, Sydney, who's your money on?
Come on, Phoebes, don't be like Drake. You and I both know that kind of action is frowned upon by the League.
I don't mean like that! I mean, who do you want to win. My money's on Ash.
Ooh, why didn't you say so? Well, I really want to root for Ash, but Glacia's like me mom. I don't know if I can bring myself to root against her.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But I really do want Ash to win too. Wait, what do you mean, like Drake? Did you two have a bet on my match with Ash?
Nah, it was nothing like that. Honest. The old man just sorta kinda asked if I wanna...
But Phoebe doesn't want to hear it from Sydney, thinking that the elite had a bet that she was going to lose and wanted to know how much he won from the Dragon Master. As they argue about how much Sydney owes Phoebe from the bet that she thinks he placed against her, Drake and Steven stand shoulder to shoulder, watching the battle below.
Do you really think that you will be able to take control over the league?
Smiling, Steven tells the old men that it's only a matter of moments. Glacia isn't one to throw a battle. It's a point of personal pride for her. I've watched the boy as much as you have. There's no way that he is going to get past her. But even if by some miracle that he did, I don't feel that even on your worst day, he could best you, old man.
For someone who prides himself on control of the situation, you certainly are leaving a lot to chance. That foolishness may come back to haunt you in the end.
I appreciate your concern, Drake, but just remember, this is your last league. I expect you to fall in line and face the boy if it comes to it, and you will show him no mercy, regardless of how you feel about me. Drake just turns back to the battle, telling Steven not to worry. He will hold up the honor of the league, no matter what. As he watches Glacia topple Ash's Flygon with her Sneasel, and its Ice Punch after taking a Dragon Volley that hits for some decent damage. This is where we pan back down to the battle. As our hero recalls his dragon, he was starting to regain his momentum in that battle, but the hail and Sneasel's speed proved to be too much for Flygon to handle. At least it got some good hits in before it fell, Ash thinks. Now the question is, who does he go with out of his last two choices? Whoever it is will set the pace on if Ash will be able to turn this battle around or not. With only 2 Pokemon left, Ash needs something that can force the distance. Luckily, he came with just the right Mon for the job, as Milotic is sent out as his 4th choice in the battle. This forces Glacia to think for a moment. While Sneasel's speed would be a great asset here, there is no need to put it at risk. So she decides to recall it for now, so that way she can use someone fresh, since she is well aware of the endurance that the serpent has. But the ice specialist always had a plan in place for this thing, as her own Glalie emerges to the field. Wow, I didn't know you had a Glalie, Ash states.
Yes, it is something that has been in my arsenal a long time. Though I assure you, its battle style is far more refined than the one I've seen you command.
Gritting his teeth, Ash can see this is true, as the first order that the elite calls for is a hail, to reset the terms of their battle, though the boy doesn't let this stop him, calling for a water pulse that slams into the ice head. While this is a direct hit, it's less than effective due to the typing, allowing a quick recovery for a Shadow Ball in retaliation. This is unfortunate for Ash, as the hail damage caused a wince for Milotic, and its reaction time was a millisecond off, preventing a dodge. Knowing they need to do something, Ash decides to use the storm to his favor, calling for an Icy Wind, though this is overpowered by an Ice Beam that strikes Milotic. Though this causes damage, it gives Ash an idea on how they can turn the tides of this, so he goes for the same play again, which prompts the same counter from Glacia. However, Ash's reaction is slightly different as the hail begins to fall. It's here that we see what Ash saw as the Ice Beam is parted by the wind that is falling, allowing for small pathways to form. This leaves micro openings where Milotic can flood the area with a Twister, creating a Category 5 Icy Twister that envelops the whole battlefield.
Glalie, Shadow Ball.
But it's no use. The power of her own ice attack is what fed Ash's attack, making it more potent than anything Milotic could have produced on its own. As the storm grows, Glacia uses Glalie to influence the direction of an ice beam, allowing Milotic to be absorbed by the attack. This is when Glacia reveals why she chose Glalie, calling for an explosion. Her plan is a simple one: use the walls of the storm to keep Milotic close for a sure knockout. As Glalie begins to glow in a destructive light, Ash knows that he can't let this hit Milotic, or he will lose this battle. So, since he can't go out, he decides that they need to go up. Well, at least Glalie does. Commanding Milotic to use its tail, they make a variation of the combo move that Ash and his Glalie used earlier in the tournament with Milotic. The ice head is sent skybound, ricocheting off the walls as the glow intensifies, before finally exploding. Luckily for Ash, the severity of the storm was able to carry the blast upwards, preventing any damage from Milotic. The last thing we see from the battle is the storm dispersing and Glalie dropping to the ground with spirals in its eyes. Recalling her Mon, Glacia is a bit surprised at the outcome.
It's about time you showed your true abilities. I was beginning to think you wouldn't show any improvement in our battle.
Don't worry, Glacia. This battle isn't over, and neither is our win streak. I'll admit, you kept us off balance for most of this battle, but there's no way we're going to let you take this win.
Where I stand, you haven't been doing a good job at that. And from what I see, you still have a long way up the mountain if you wish to capture the summit. However, that summit is ravaged with ice and snow. It can be very unforgiving if you don't respect it.
Thanking Glacia for the warning, Ash smiles, feeling pretty confident in his comeback as Glacia sends back in her Sneasel. Knowing he needs to play this safe, Ash keeps Milotic in. It will be the best way to keep his last choice as fresh as possible, though that may become sooner than later, as a Metal Claw strikes Milotic, demonstrating the speed of the ice type. In doing so, Sneasel glows in a blue hue, signaling that it got a power-up from that. Glacia smirks at this, calling for an Ice Punch. However, Ash isn't going to let a second free hit get through, calling for a Water Pulse that the Serpent hits with its tail to create a wide coverage that strikes Sneasel. The only reason why it didn't knock it out right away was because the Ice Punch froze some of the water, preventing a complete hit. The Dark type is breathing hard after that due to the damage it took from Flygon. However, Milotic is in the same way, trying not to move unless absolutely necessary. Knowing he needs to act, Ash goes on the attack, calling for a Twister. Glacia knows that she can outpace this, calling for a Quick Attack. This allows Sneasel to get inside Milotic's personal space and hit with a feint attack that leaves the Serpent wobbly. However, it's so close that Ash tells Milotic to bind Sneasel. This is successful, preventing any escape from the Speed Demon. Wanting to end this now, Ash decides to go all or nothing, ordering a Twister that consumes the two Pokemon. Cries can be heard from within the attack. However, this was a miscalculation on Ash's part, as Milotic whizzes just enough for Sneasel to get one arm free and to strike with an Ice Punch to the head of the Serpent. In this action, Milotic drops, bringing the battle to an end, leaving Ash with just one Pokemon left to battle 3 of Glacia's. Recalling his Water type, Ash looks at his starter, thinking about every moment of the battle. As our hero thinks about his final choice, we pan back to the crowd as we see all of Ash's friends sitting here, silent as they await his last choice. However, there is one among them that seems to have lost all interest. May has her attention turned to the door. She is convinced that Ash is at the end of this battle. This means that the time for her to get back to training has come, as there's one last thing that Ash will have to do before he ends his time in Hoenn. Standing up, May uses the tension of the moment to quietly slip away. However, as May exits the stadium, there is one thing that she missed on the way out, as there is a particular redhead that seems to have slipped out before she did. As those events unfold in the background, we pan back down to the battlefield. Ash stands here with one final Pokeball in his hands, looking intensely at it.
You know, staring at it won't change the chances of you losing this battle. I think it's time you face the fact that your run against the Elite Four ends here.
I don't think so, Glacia. I figured it might end up like this, so I made sure to save the best one for last. I just needed to take in the moment, as this Pokemon holds very special meaning to us both. I used it the first time we met, so I think it would be the best choice to face you when everything is on the line. Glacia's eye twitches as she figured this would be the choice, as from the ball pops none other than Slacking.
This could be a real problem. Though it wasn't much of a battler when it faced more. In the short time since Ash started the Evergrande Conference, its power has grown exponentially. I need to be careful and plan each move wisely to ensure I don't lose because I get caught off guard.
All the while, Steven is watching from the Champions box, smirking that he is only moments away from claiming the league as his own. Back on the field, Glacia has decided to keep in Sneasel, as with its stat increase, it would be the best bet to cause the most damage. So, with the start of the battle, the Dark type gets to work with an Ice Punch. However, Slacking isn't here to play games, demonstrating its dominant aura with a feint attack to quickly dispatch Sneasel, as the full body check crushes it upon contact. Slacking's hide is so thick that it doesn't even feel the cold of the Ice Punch as it sees the ice form on its chest for a brief moment, before a flex shatters it as Glacia recalls her Dark type. From the stands, Max comments that Slacking appears to be far more focused than he's ever seen it. Normally it's laid back and friendly, but it came out ready to battle. Brock states that it's because of a conversation that he saw Ash having with his Pokemon this morning. He knew that Slacking was going to be his final choice. There is no other choice that he wanted to use to battle Glacia since the moment she met them back in Lava Ridge. The two were on the same page before the battle even started, so it's no surprise that Slacking wasted no time in getting that win. Let's just hope that it can push through the rest of Glacia's Pokemon, the boy says as we pan back to the battlefield to see that the hail has been set back up by Castform as it pelts Slacking with a barrage of weather balls. Though Slacking is fast, Castform is small. This allows it to easily dodge a Focus Punch and a feint attack to land the ice-based moves while the hail begins to chip away at its health. Glacia is doing her best to hold on for as long as possible for one specific reason, which becomes evident when Ash makes his next call in a slack-off, healing all of its health. As it glows in a soothing aura, the hail runs its course, causing Castform to return to to its normal state. Things are not looking good for Glacia, and the Elite knows it. She needs to do something to keep the boy from taking control of this match. It's here that the Elite decides to show talent, calling for a flamethrower that is aimed at the field around Slacking. Knowing she's up to something, Ash orders the normal type to attack. Castform does its best to continue dodging while using flamethrower. This causes the field to melt until Slacking is waist deep in the water, slowing it even further. Using this micro opening, Glacia calls for another hail. This sets the clouds into motion as the temperature rapidly falls over the battlefield. Ash tells Slacking to be ready for anything. Stay alert. The sloth looks around as Castform has vanished into the fog. However, a weather ball is shot into the battlefield. This, combined with the cold winds, freezes the water and Slacking waist deep with one of its arms. Now that it's trapped, Glacia feels confident that she can win this from here, calling for a water pulse. This strikes Slacking, which wouldn't be a problem normally. However, water pulse's secondary effect kicks in as a confusion sets in, causing the normal type to begin to flail about uncontrollably.
This couldn't have been more perfect if I had actually planned it. It looks like I can wrap this up quicker than I thought. Now, Castform, use Weather Ball.
The ice type begins to pelt Slacking from all angles while Ash calls to it, trying to get a response. However, it's just a flurry of thrusts from its one free arm as frustration sets in. What can I do? I can't recall Slacking to break the confusion. Is this really the end, Ash thinks? The boy is beginning to lose hope as Slacking is unresponsive to his commands. Glacia takes advantage of this as it cycles through a few slack-offs, regaining its health in the confusion. Feeling even more confident, she tries to end this with a water pulse, but as the water hits, the confusion fades, clearing Slacking's thoughts. Ash sees this, ordering a focus punch on the field. The force of this is so great that the ice cracks, shooting up into the air and pelting Castform with enough force to knock out the cloud. Finally out of the woods, Slacking crawls out of its prison as Glacia recalls her first Pokémon. Ash breathes a sigh of relief as Slacking fully emerges. Man, that was close, the boy thinks, though he isn't ignorant to the fact that Slacking was stretched thin with that confusion. However, his relief is going to be interrupted by Glacia.
I must say, this has been a surprising turn of events. I must admit that I had you written off as a second-rate challenger. Even with my warnings to prepare you for our battle, I didn't think you would make it this far.
This is where Ash says that he was a bit nervous going into their battle. Things were tense with his friends, but they all came together and he was able to focus. Our hero then does something that Glacia didn't see coming. He thanks her for the advice and kindness she showed him. He wouldn't have been able to bring his best to this battle if she didn't step in.
While I appreciate the gratitude, I didn't do it for you or your friends. I just didn't want this battle to be a waste of time. Unless you are focused, then you won't be at the top of your game. It looks like I've brought that out of you. Now, let's see if it can stand up to my best. Walrein, go!
The final mon of this battle emerges into the ice storm that still rages above.
Ash, this is my oldest Pokémon. Walrein was the first Pokémon I caught when I was young. It was the reason that I became an Ice-type trainer. When it comes to power and skill, there is nothing in my arsenal that exceeds it. Now, show us what you two are capable of.
In response to this request, Ash orders the final slack-off of this battle. This fully heals the normal type as Slacking beats its chest, signaling that it won't back down from this challenge. Taking this as an invitation to start, Glacia orders a body slam. Slacking greets this with a feint attack. Though Walrein has power, it's not enough to overpower the normal type, sending it sliding across the ice. Glacia wastes no time encountering with a rock slide that Slacking is unable to avoid. This results in it taking direct damage as the hail runs its final course of chip damage. However, this isn't the only thing, as the rocks cause Slacking to flinch. This is the moment that Glacia was waiting for, calling for a surf. Suddenly, a wave of water raises the ice type up as it prepares to drop everything on Slacking. The normal type digs in as it readies a focus punch at the command of its trainer. It's prepared to take everything for a clean shot. However, Glacia isn't a fool and wouldn't leave such an obvious opening to chance. As the water crashes down, Walrein unleashes its most powerful attack in a sheer cold. Suddenly, the water flash freezes, locking Slacking in a block of ice so thick that Ash can only make out an outline in the cold blue tomb. No, Ash yells, but nothing, not even a low growl from the normal type. The boy pleads with his mon, please, break free, but the echoes fall on frozen ears.
I'm sorry, Ash, but you have left me with no choice. Slacking has become a real threat, and it very well has the power to beat Walrein. This was the only way to secure victory. If this wasn't an Elite Four battle, then I would have wanted to test its power in a head-to-head match. But you have lost this battle. Slacking will remain within the ice until you concede.
Ash isn't sure of what to do. He doesn't want to believe the sloth is done. There's no way, not after all that we have been through. All the while, up in the champions box, Glacia's colleagues can only think that this is just like the other times she has won battles with Walrein. When she is backed into a corner, this is how she ends it. Everyone just watches on, awaiting the final call. Glacia continues to urge Ash to call the battle, so Slacking doesn't suffer any permanent damage. However, the boy refuses. It's not over, he yells.
I'm afraid you're wrong. No one has ever broken the ice. It won't happen just because you wanted to.
However, Ash refuses to still listen. It's to the point that even the ref steps in and prepares to call it. However, just as he does, a sound begins to echo. A faint cracking begins to grow, followed by a low roar that grows into the call of a name as the ice breaks and explodes from within as the energy from the focus punch finally overtakes the prison.
Impossible! There's no way!
But Ash begs to differ. I knew it. Slacking slams both of its fists into the ice, sending a barrage of bergs in the direction of Walrein. There is no time to defend, and they slam into the ice type with a force that it has never felt before. It's time to end this, Ash yells. Now, Slacking, use Focus Punch. The normal type charges both of its fists as it jumps into the air as high as possible. In an attempt to counter, Glacia calls for a rock slide, but it is of no use as Slacking just takes the attack before bringing down both fists with enough force that a sonic boom pops and shatters the entire battlefield around them. Just as the dust settles, Walrein is left in a pile of rubble as Slacking beats its chest, signaling this battle is over. Glacia can't believe it.
The boy actually won?
The only thing she can do is recall her ace with a smile as Ash celebrates his win. From above, Steven watches on. Well, man, are you going to fold and give the boy a free win, or battle with everything you have? Either way, I still get what I want. However, Drake says nothing, only looking down on the boy with a smile.
Soon, we will have our battle.
All the while, Goodshow watches with a look of uncertainty on his face. While the stadium celebrates Ash's win, we move over to the edge of the city, where we see May finally reaching her training area. However, she isn't the first one here. As Misty greets her, I was beginning to think you would never show up.